Hello and welcome. This is your Saturday News. I'm your host, Keith Lander, coming to you from the Tabernacle Baptist Church right here in Dayton, Ohio. And welcome. I welcome all your comments from the last show. And keep those comments going. That keeps me going. That motivates me. So I enjoy the comments. And like I said last show, if you leave me a comment, I'm going to leave you a like. I try to hit them all. If I miss one, don't charge it to my head. Just charge it to my heart. So I go back and look. If I miss one, I make sure I don't miss them. So keep those comments coming. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you for enjoying the show. And I enjoy bringing it to you every other Saturday right here at the Tabernacle Baptist Church Studios at Dayton, Ohio. Today we have a special guest. We have Shirley Roberts. Thank you for coming, Shirley.
Thank you.
Okay, and Shirley is the funeral director and owner-operator of H.H. Roberts Mortuary, which is located at 38 South Gettysburg Avenue, Dayton, Ohio. The phone number is 937-268-6886. And I'll put that number on the screen so you can write it down, because I know you didn't have a pencil handy when I just said that. So we'll give the address again. But Shirley, welcome, and give us a brief history of H.H. Roberts. Who started it, and where's it at currently?
Once again, thank you, Keith, for the invitation and allowing me to be a part of your show. We have served the community of Dayton for 46 years. H.H. Roberts Mortuary was founded by my parents, Hal H. and Barbara J. Roberts, in 1975.
Okay, so now when a death occurs, you can't predict death. I know doctors got it down to a science predicting the birth sometime, but can't predict death. So when death occurs, what should someone do? That's the first thing they should do.
Well, the first thing they should do, I guess it depends on whether the death occurred residentially or if it occurred in a hospital or nursing home or other facility. Usually, if you are at a facility, they have staff there that will assist them in contacting the funeral home. If death occurs at home, you actually have to contact your local police first, because they have to come out and have the paramedics come to pronounce the person and have our local coroner's office to release them into our care.
Okay, so if the death is at home, then they should call the police department first.
Correct.
Okay, and then after the police department do what they have to do, then the next call would be either to the funeral home?
Right, it would be to the funeral home once the person was released, and then we would be allowed to pick them up and take them into our care. Then that would begin the cycle of planning for the arrangements, where we would make telephone calls and gather information, give them information that they would need, and help them plan for whatever type of services that they needed us to provide.
Okay, now I'm glad you said the type of services. So what type of services do H.H. Roberts provide?
We offer anything that you need as far as funeral services. We offer traditional funeral services. We offer immediate burials. We offer cremations and any type of services that a person would need to take care of their loved one.
Oh, okay, so let me ask you this now. I know the coffins and caskets are, purchased. Can somebody either lease a casket and then after the funeral to go back to the funeral home? Is that?
No.
You can't do that? Okay.
We don't lease or rent caskets. I can only speak for H.H. Roberts. Mm-hmm. We have ceremonial rental cremation caskets, and those caskets are rented for the use of a service if a person's final disposition is to be cremation. But those caskets are made specifically for that need. They are made in a manner that the interior will serve as an alternative container that can go to the crematory. As far as reusing a casket or leasing, no, we don't do that.
Oh, okay. And so the funeral cost. I know sometimes death occurs unexpectedly, and the person either didn't have insurance. Can you stress the importance of life insurance?
Well, that's something we've been stressing for years, and I'm thinking everybody that's going to get it, they got it by now, that you do need life insurance, with the average cost of funeral services being any place between $6,500 to $7,500, not inclusive of cemetery, flowers, and all of the other expenses. Most people just don't have that sitting around in their bank accounts to pay. So it would behoove people to please have life insurance to cover that expense, whether it's expected or unexpected.
Yeah, and I agree. So make sure y'all get some life insurance on your loved ones and get some on
That's right.
yourself too. That's very important. Let's talk about funeral etiquette, because I've seen some things at the funeral make me scratch my head. Some do's and don'ts. I know the family when they come there in the morning and some of the friends, but just talk about some do's and don'ts at some of these funerals.
Well, I've always said, Keith, that I was going to write an etiquette book. And maybe when I get to retire, I will. We have to be aware that times change, the thoughts of people change, but there are a few things that I think are just standard that don't change. I think always be careful of what you say to people who are in grief or who are bereaved. Oftentimes people say things that can be hurtful. They mean well, but the words can just be misplaced. So I think one of the biggest things is just be careful of what you say. Sometimes not to say anything is better. Just to be present, just once we get past all the pandemic, just a hug, a kiss, might be what people need. When you go to people's houses to visit, don't overstay your welcome. I'm sure they're happy to see you, but they're in grief. So those are just some of the things. I guess you look, and when you say you've seen a lot of things, probably you've seen some of the dress that people have at funerals. And that might just be a sign of the times. People are not as formal as we once were in a whole lot of ways. And maybe that's not the worst thing, Things do change.
Yeah, and they sure have. Let's talk about cremations. Now, I know cremations is gaining popularity. Now, when somebody is cremated, explain that process, because I know they get not an urn, I think, what's that box called where they put the ashes in? You can explain that better than I can.
The cremation is just a reduction of the deceased human person to what we call cremated remains. Afterwards, you can do a number of things with the cremated remains. They can be scattered. They have formulated new ways now. They can make jewelry. They can be placed in urns. They can also be interred or buried in the ground. They can be placed in a niche in a mausoleum. There's jewelry for people who want to put a small portion of the cremated remains in bracelets and necklaces. So, there are a lot of different things that you can do with the cremated remains to memorialize your family member.
That's good. Now the COVID-19 has affected all aspects of everybody's lives, including funerals. So what are some of the guidelines that the COVID-19 has affected as it relates to funerals?
Probably one of the largest areas that I saw is just in a need to try to keep our community, ourselves, and our staff safe. We've tried to limit the number of people that are present and also limit the amount of time that people are together. I think when we look at the pandemic, we were led to believe from our different scientists that it was not going to be good to be breathing the same air and in the same room with people for a long length of time. So we've tried to reduce numbers, reduce time, and make sure that people will safely social distance, along with, washing of hands and hand sanitation centers and things within the funeral home.
That's good. We got to practice safety because
That's correct.
The virus is still out there, y'all.
Oh, it's still there. That's right.
So let me ask you this. Now, if a husband and wife, let's say one of them passed first and they're buried in a casket and this kind of thing, and other say they want to be cremated, can you take the remains of the cremation and put them in the same burial ground where the wife was buried traditionally?
Yes, most of the cemeteries in this area offer that, and I think that's what they call a second interment rite, where the first spouse is buried, the second spouse was cremated, and their cremated remains can go on top of that casket in that same grave.
Okay. Now you as a funeral director, now once they call you are responsible for making all the preparations, right? Can you explain some of that, what the funeral director responsibilities are? I know you hit it once.
The funeral director is the person that meets with the family, be it meeting like we used to do it, or whether we're meeting over the phone or doing Zoom or something like that, to gather all of the information about the deceased person, to gather from the family the information they want as far as what type of services they want, where they want them, and to get everything that they want so that you can direct them in having the service. To get all of the proper paperwork, death certificates and permits, make all the telephone calls, and just arrange for the whole service to be prepared to their liking, to their wishes, and to try to ease them through their grief process.
That's good. So remember that, y'all. Y'all, you know, these funerals, they're, you know, unexpected. They're happening, and you know, life and death is going to be among us for a long time. You can't predict your death. I don't think you can. I don't think any doctor's got that down to a science. Only God knows that. But H.H. Roberts is here, and they're here to serve your needs at the time of death. They're probably one of the most professional funeral home services that you can rely on, and I would recommend H.H. Roberts any day of the week. So, Cheryl, is there anything that I forget to mention anything as far as what H.H. Roberts will provide for folks?
No, sir, I don't think you did, and I thank you for your kind remarks and recommendation. We appreciate it. We work hard to gain the respect and our integrity and to gain the confidence of our community.
I appreciate you. We'll put the number of H.H. Roberts on the screen one more time. And so if, in fact, you do have a death, you know, I would recommend you call the police first, like Cheryl said, and then call H.H. Roberts after that, and she will take care of all your needs. So, Cheryl, I appreciate you coming to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, and I thank you, and we'll be on to the next segment of the program.
All right, thanks again.
Okay, well, at this point in the show, you know it's always time for the scam alert. And this week, scam alert, I'm going to talk a little bit about fake and abusive debt collectors. Now, how can you spot a fake debt collector? Well, usually if the person on the other end of the phone, if he says they're trying to collect a debt, and it's a debt that you don't recognize, and you don't remember if you owe those people or not, then here's what you need to do. Ask that person on the other end of the line to give you the name of the company, give you the address of the company, and give you the phone number of the company. Now, if that person on the other end of the line who claims to be a debt collector does not give you that information, then that person is a fake. Y'all got to remember that now. If that person don't give you that information, don't give you the name of the company, don't give you the address of the company, and won't give you the phone number of the company they claim to be a debt collector from, it's a fake. Hang the phone up. Because those people are supposed to give you that information. Don't ask for the person's name because they're going to give you some crazy name. That don't matter. The company's name, the address, and a phone number. And then once you get that information, then you can call either the Better Business Bureau and check that information, Google that company to see if it is a real company, so you won't get scammed with these fake collectors. Now, if the collector call you and they threaten to arrest you or they threaten some other stuff that they shouldn't be doing, that's fake. The debt collectors, they can't threaten you. They can't threaten you to call the police on you. That's all fake, so don't fall for that, y'all. Let me give you some more advice here, and this is from the Federal Trade Commission. Now, the do's and don'ts, or what they can do and what they can't do. Now, you find out who's calling, and I just gave you that information. And then debt collectors, they cannot refuse any part of the debt that you want to pay. So if they call you, if it's a real debt collector, and you owe money, and you know you owe the money, then they have to take any kind of payments that you come up with. That's the law. So don't get scammed on these fake debt collectors. Make sure you know that it's the debt that you owe, not the debt that somebody's out there trying to scam you, because these people are slick. You know, don't get scammed by these fake debt collectors. That's what I want people to know. So keep that in mind. If you get one of these calls, get the name of the company, get the address of the company, get a phone number from the company, and then make sure that this company is legit. So that should keep you out of the fake debt collection. Trotwood Police Department will be outfitted with body cameras for the first time. Trotwood is joining a number of area cities that have chosen to purchase body cameras for their police department. The article at the Dayton Daily News, it says the Trotwood City Council have recently voted to spend $81,170 to buy 40 body cameras and accessory for its officers. I think that's a plus. I think the Mayor McDonald is doing a very excellent job out at Trotwood. And in a recent poll, according to Mary McDonald, in a recent poll, our community has given Trotwood Police Department a 94% approval rating. And she said, we are extremely proud of the trust. Now that's something. That's 94% approval rating for the police department, y'all. And now with the addition of these body cameras, you know, that'll even enhance and make the whole community more safe. So appreciate the job you're doing out there, Mayor McDonald, out there in Trotwood. The body cameras are on the way, folks, so everybody will feel safe. Another story, Dayton Bank, Ohio nonprofit teams up to provide $10 million to Ohio businesses. Now here's the way this program is going to work. PNC Bank is teaming up with a Columbus-based nonprofit to help small businesses that offer to find themselves outside the economic mainstream apply for forgivable business loans. And here's I'll give you the website where you can get more information. The bank said is giving $10 million to Economic Community Development Institute. So small businesses in all 88 counties in Ohio can apply for PPP loans. Now here's the website. This is the PNC website. It's www.ecdi.org. So I'll say it again. www.ec.i.org. That's PNC. The Paycheck Protection Program loans, it ends in March. So you got to get your application before March the 31st. So I know time is, don't slow around on this, y'all. And the loans will be generated and will be handed out to low income, moderate income, and low wealth individual, women, people of color, refugees, immigrants, and businesses that have been hit most vulnerable through the pandemic. That's what the PNC is making these loans for. So if you got a business and you meet one of those categories, look it up on the PNC website, which is the website I just gave you. It'll probably be posted on the screen. Do not hesitate, folks, because the application process ends on March the 31st. I just came in contact with this article just a few days ago. So, you know, there's help out there, and make sure you get the much needed help as you need it from this coronavirus. The Shriners Children's opened up a new home in Dayton. Shriners Children's Hospital is now open and seeing patients in its new home. The new home is the Pediatric Burn and Specialty Care Hospital, relocated from Cincinnati to operate in Dayton Children's Hospital main campus. And so the pediatric hospital provides all level of pediatric burn treatment and other specialty care for children up to age 18, regardless of the family's ability to pay. Now, the Shriners been around for a long time and have been providing this care. So they're here in Dayton now, folks. So you don't have to travel to Cincinnati or anywhere else if you needed some care from the Shriners. So that's a good thing, and that's a good thing for children, for allowing them to come in and set that up in their hospital. So if you need any services provided by Shriners, there it is. And you know, you've seen the commercials where Shriners are offering, you know, you can donate money to Shriners and this kind of thing. Make sure you do that. You know, make yourself feel good. In the way of politics, Marsha Fudge, confirmed as the head of HUD, will be the first black woman to lead the department in over 40 years. The former representatives were sworn in by Vice President Kamala Harris, and Marsha Fudge will be the first. The Senate voted overwhelmingly in favor of the Ohio Democratic Republican Representative Monica Fudge to become the new Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. So That's a good thing. And she pledged, Marsha Fudge pledged to. She'll be the first black woman to lead the department in over 40 years, according to The Independent, which is a newspaper. In her first days as head, Fudge says she's hoped to limit the effects of the coronavirus pandemic on struggling American housing market. She made that interview to CNN, by the way. She says her first priority as secretary would be to alleviate the crisis and get people support they need to come back from the edge. And so, that's a good step. I think President Biden appointed the right person for that job. Marsha Fudge, congratulations, and I know she'll get to work and make sure people get what they deserve. Now, you remember the Affordable Health Care Act? At one time, the last administration cut the funding and didn't want to advertise for it because it was associated with President Obama. And the last administration was just ignorant and, didn't care about helping folks in need. Well, President Biden, has basically put the advertising back up for the affordable health care. And it's been a record number of signups. It's been over more than 200,000 signups for the American Health Care Act. And so what this does is, now you don't have time to waste to get signed up. There's plenty of time left, according to President Biden. There's plenty of time left to sign up. He said, I encourage everyone who needs health insurance to go to healthcare.gov before May the 15th. It says, if you already have coverage, you may help family members and friends who are uninsured get themselves covered. Now, the website to get that insurance, the Affordable Care Act, is healthcare.gov. I think we'll put that on the screen also. Now, with healthcare.gov, the Rescue Act has provided more money to the Affordable Care Act, which means now the premiums will be a whole lot lower than where they were probably 4 years ago. That is a good thing because now people can get actually affordable health care. And you need health care insurance, and like Shirley Roberts says, you need some life insurance. Those two things for sure. So go to the Affordable Health Care website, look it up. You see the commercials. You have until May the 15th to sign up, and you go to healthcare.gov and get you some health insurance. Kentucky, I don't know what the legislators are thinking about in Kentucky, but they got a piece of legislation, and the Senate Bill 211 is the name of it. And the bill, it says the headlines, will make it a crime to insult and taint police officers through the state of Kentucky. Now, what that bill does is, if you insult or what they say provoke and gestures at a police officer, and they say that's the reason for the police officer to come over and basically enact violence against you. I ain't making this stuff up, y'all. These people have lost their mind, like I said on the last show. This is in Kentucky. They got a bill that says you can't taunt the police officer, you can't do any hand gestures at the police officers. We all know you can't touch a police officer. We got that part. But there's other stuff. If a police officer can't take hollering and screaming from the public, then I suggest you get another job. If your skin is that soft and that thin that you can't take somebody hollering and screaming at you and not even touching you, then you got a problem. You don't belong in the police ranks, right? But Kentucky, they're going to make this try to make it a law. I mean, you can look it up. It's Senate Bill 211. It passed by a margin of 3-1, so the bill will continue to go. And Kentucky, I don't know what to say about y'all. Y'all need some help. Bless their heart. But anyway, we're moving on. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Now, mostly all the Democrats signed on to this thing in the House. There was one Republican Lance Gooden of Texas. You know what I mean? He voted yes, but then after people found out that he voted yes, he said he hit the wrong button. So his yes vote, he wanted to change to a no vote. And let me tell you what this George Floyd Policing Act details. What it does is it bans chokeholds. It prohibits no-knock warrants, like the one that happened in Kentucky with Breonna Taylor. It also mandates body camera and dashboard cameras for police departments. It also has a national database to track police misconduct. It also prohibits racial and religious profiling. And here's the big thing that it does, folks. It eliminates qualified immunity. Now, what qualified immunity is, it's a legal document that says that the police cannot be held accountable and sued for an offense against a citizen. So the family can't come back and sue the police officer who was engaged in either killing a citizen or really injure him. See, that's what happened with O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson wasn't a police officer, but O.J. Simpson, they found him not guilty for the killing of his ex-wife and the other dude. And what happened is that the family of those folk came back and sued O.J. Simpson. Well, if you're a police officer, you can't do that because this qualified immunity is still in place. This piece of legislation will eliminate that. Now, it passed the House, it's going to the Senate. And, you know, the Republican Party in the Senate, you know what they're going to do. They're going to say it's radical. I don't think anything's radical about banning a chokehold. I don't think anything radical about stopping no-knock warrants. There's nothing radical about prohibiting race and religious profiling. There's nothing radical about body cameras, dashboard cameras for police. And there's nothing radical about a data that track police misconduct. What's radical about that? The only thing these people who's against this is they don't want you coming back suing a police officer for his actions. Hey, I wish I could make this stuff up, but hey, I searched the news and I find it. And that's what that piece of legislation is. It's passed the House. We'll see where it goes in the Senate. And you already hear what they're going to say in the Senate. You can already think about it because that one Texas fellow, he already done said it. What was his name? Representative Lance Gooden from Texas. He said he won't support the radical left, is what he said. The radical left. What was those people in January 6th in D.C. that stormed the Capitol, that killed a police officer, that beat a police officer with a fire extinguisher, that wanted to kill and hang Mike Pence, wanted to try to kill Nancy Pelosi, just destroyed everything. Was those folks radical, carrying a Confederate flag through the Capitol, debasing and defecating on people's desks? Were those people radical? I want to ask this dude Gooden down in Texas. Were those people radical? Man, okay, I'm moving on. I ain't going to get on my soapbox. I'm moving on. The next story, hey, Carmen. Carmen is working on a biopic about activist Fannie Lou Hammer. Her story, he said her story impacts black history and is American history, said the rapper. Now, the rapper Carmen, who's known for using his artistry and these avenues to tell powerful stories about the Chicago native, will continue through this creation of this film. Now, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Carmen, whose real name is Lonnie Rashad Lynn, is working on a film about civil rights activist Fannie Lou Hammer. Now, you probably studied Fannie Lou Hammer, but you probably won't see it the way that Carmen's going to do it. It's going to be titled God's Long Summer. And if you know a little bit about Fannie Lou Hammer, you want to see this piece of a documentary. And on top of that, I'm not going to tell you about Fannie Lou Hammer. You're going to have to watch the documentary or go find it yourself. On top of that, Regina King is also working on a documentary about Shirley Chisholm. Now, we all know Shirley Chisholm. She made history as the first African-American U.S. Congresswoman. So look for that, too. So I'm glad these actors are bringing these people life to the screen so more people can see what they've done. More people can get involved with the process of politics or either activism, because it's needed, because our young folks, y'all, sometimes these people like Fannie Lou Hammer and Shirley Chisholm, you don't see some of these people. And let me close the show with this. These people talking about, I hear this thing talking about people trying to They trying to cancel folks from talking. They call it that culture cancel. I think that's what they call it, or cancel culture, or some kind of nonsense they call it. Well, let me ask you this. Hate speech, racist speech, and speech that incites folks to go and kill folk, it should be canceled. I'm gonna say that again. If you out there spitting out racism, if you out there spitting out hatred, if you out there spitting out stuff that motivates people to attack other folk, your voice should be canceled. Just plain and simple. There's no room for that nonsense to become mainstream. So all them politicians out there talking about, oh, they trying to cancel me. Well, you shouldn't be. I can put up with stupidity, but if your stupidity is leading to racism, and your stupidity is talking about victimizing people, you should be canceled. That's the end of the story about that. That's what they need to tell these politicians. The next one pop his head up on national news talking about they trying to cancel me. If what you said was racist, you should be canceled. Now go sit down. That'll end all that discussion. We don't even have to go any further than that. Just end it. If it's racist, you should be canceled. If you're prejudiced, it should be canceled. If it's sexist, you should be canceled. You know what I mean? We've seen where Asian folks are being under attack. They attacked a little old Asian woman just walking across the street. Just jumped on the woman. Jumped on a man, an Asian man in a laundromat. Just jumped on the man. Just started beating him up. Come on, y'all, we can do better than this. And all you politicians, you folks in Congress, y'all are the one who's putting this nonsense out. You helping it. You're helping putting it out. And all these conservative shows, there's free speech, but there's some consequences with that speech. You just can't go and just say anything and then talk about, after you say stuff that motivates people to attack folks, you trying to be canceled. Man, come on, y'all. We could do better than this. Man, we look at this, we've seen this stuff back in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. Now we see it again. And some folks think it's all right. Some high-ranking political folks, they think it's all right. They trying to cancel me. You should be canceled, fool, because what you're doing is having a negative impact on everybody, whites, black, and indifferent. I don't have to attack you just because I disagree with you. We just disagree. You know, this ain't the Jerry Springer show where folks disagree and they take a chair and try to whack it across your head and all that kind of nonsense. This is not that. That's propaganda reality stuff, folks. We got to get away from that. So I'm going to get off my soapbox. Hey, I appreciate you watching. And until next time, may God bless you and your family.